Good afternoon. How is the weekend? How is everyone? Great. So we are good to go, right? So what were we discussing last week? Really? We are discussing the 5 W's and H, right? Maybe I should give you this so that it will be guiding you. Maybe, I don't know if you will snap it. But ignore the last part. Now we are discussing about the structure of news, and I think we've discussed the who, the what, and the who, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you remember, we said the what in every story is the major subject matter of the story. That everything about what we are writing revolves around that subject. I hope it is that. Now, under the word, many times you have a lot of supporting words. It's just like having a topic and subtopics, right? When you're copying notes, you see that you have a topic, and then along the way you have several other subtopics. Now, you may have a lot of other subtopics supporting the main subject, right? Now, if you take the word for an event that has happened, then every event is carried out by someone, right? At least by a living thing, a human being, an animal, even non-living things like vehicles and so on. Someone or something has to perform the action, right? Today will be, a man getting new appointments. So the story is about him, right? Now tomorrow it will be a snake biting another animal, right? So the subject, the actor here becomes what? The snake, right? So I hope you understand the general idea of what we do in a story. We try to transfer or tell a story of an action that has taken place. And this action is always committed by what? By an actor, right? Is that clear? Are we getting the conversation?
Yes.
Now, there are two who's there are mainly two, divisions of a who in every story. That's the subject who is really carrying out the action, and then the object onto whom the action is being performed. Are we together? Is this clear? Why do I feel like you are not getting what I'm saying? Are we getting along?
Yes.
So that's the who, the person carrying out the action, and that's the first division. That mainly the story is built around that person. And then the person who is receiving that action, the person onto whom that action is being, for instance, the governor appointed someone. Now, the act of appointment was made by what? The governor. That's the subject. The person who is appointed is the one receiving the function of what? The appointment. Right? If the governor really carries out the action of appointing someone, then the person, receiving that appointment, or the person he has appointed is what? Is the object, is the person receiving the appointment. So the action was performed by the governor on the person who is appointed. Is that clear? Right? That's straightforward. Now that's why when you're writing the who, we also want to know certain things about the person, and it's very important. I want to say that at this point, because we don't really have so much time, let us assume that we will address that and move on. When you are writing something about a subject or an object, you have to now do other basics, other rituals that are very important. This who, you have to tell us, in fact, in full terms, what is his name? Because that's one. Two, what is his, occupation? Because knowing the person's occupation tells us his relationship to this action. If you don't tell us, we ask you to go and interview people on the street about the rising cost of foodstuff, and then you went to interview someone, and while writing the story, you only wrote Musa Muhammad, for instance, and then we read that Musa Muhammad said that he doesn't feel the rise in cost of foodstuff and so on. He's very much okay with the prices and so on. Now, the person reading the story will only sees Musa Muhammad, but probably this Musa Muhammad is 7 years old, So how can someone who is 7 years old understand the impact of the rise in prices of foodstuff? You won't know. So you have to tell us something that will help us weigh or measure his, relationship to this thing you are reporting. Is Musa Muhammad a family man, or is he just a child roaming the street, and so on and so forth? Like, you can't live. Yes, you may ask a child on some other things, like, okay, is your father still providing all the things you need? In order to understand the context, does this rising cost of foodstuff affect the way in which parents take care of their children? Maybe they no longer get enough provisions like they used to. Maybe at that level you can ask a kid, but automatically when you ask a kid to give you an explanation of how this is affecting him, how he is coping to look after himself and other people, the answer is going to give you actually will not make sense. But if it doesn't make sense, and then you mention to us that he is a kid, we will understand that is naivety, right? But if you don't tell us, or you went to the university and someone tells you that, see, exams will start next week. When was school resumed? Maybe probably a week or so ago. And then someone tells you exam will commence next week, and you write a report based on that. Now, who is that someone? Maybe he is Gedman. He doesn't know anything about the academic operations of the university. So you have to tell us who you are asking, what is the occupation, what is the age of the person. You have to know certain basics about the person you are writing about. Is that clear? Because we have to synthesize a lot of things before we can make sense of what people are saying. If someone now says that the cost of petrol has been, slashed by 500 on a radio or a TV, now does that make the prices of petrol, go down? It doesn't. Who is that person? It can be anyone else. He may have been what? He may have sneaked into the TV station. Maybe he's even a madman. We don't know. But supposing this is said by the Minister of Information, we know he is the official spokesperson of the federal government, or the spokesman of the president, or the Minister of Petroleum. These are people authorized by law to make such declarations or statements. But so we have to know one day who is he? By what authority is he passing that information? Is that clear? Is he just saying it on his own? Is just an ordinary Nigerian, or he is saying it in an official capacity? That's why defining the person's role in that news is very important, which is to tell us what is his occupation. And if it is a random person on the street you are interviewing, to get a context of something, you have to at least tell us who is he. Is he a family man? Is he a trader? Is he a civil servant? Is he a student? Is he a random guy on the street? What is he? Because we have to put all these things together before we can start assessing the information he has given us. You go to the airport and on the entrance, someone who you met at the entrance tells you that every flight has been cancelled today, and then you turn back home. How much of a foolish person are you? What this is, you have to find a KYN, right? Are we getting this conversation? So the who, we have to define it. First, you have to tell us his full name, and then tell us his official occupation. Is he a governor? Is he a civil servant? Is he a student? Is he a teacher? Is he a trader? Is he a commercialist? All of these things, we want you to define them as clearly as possible. Are we on the same page? And then you will do the same thing for the person receiving the action. Who is he? Like, how is he related to the action? If, for instance, the governor appoints, if you have a news that Governor Zulum appoints Governor Buni as deputy governor, does it make sense? But if you just say Governor Zulum appoints May Malabuni, for instance, that's the name of the governor of Yobe, right? Now, probably we will begin to think that there is another May Malabuni, another person bearing that name, right? So defining but once you say May Malabuni, who is the governor of Yobe, we know that something is wrong. You either you've gone mad, or you are writing a comedy for a story, right? Are we getting this part? That's the who. That's what we want. And there are different aspects of an individual we need for different stories. Sometimes what we need is not just his name, his occupation, age, and so on. Sometimes we want to know, for instance, his origin. Supposing he is talking about, ethnic clashes, like someone urging two groups that are fighting because of some ethnic misunderstanding, we have to say, okay, maybe Mr. XYZ has issued a statement asking both parties to calm down. Now, who is asking these people? Is he a neutral person, or is he a member of one of these factions, right? At every story, we have to develop the ability to understand what about this man is relevant to this story. Is that clear? Are we getting the gist? Now, when that is addressed, then you have to also tell us, at least when this thing you are reporting took place. I know you know all these things probably somehow, but we want I want to say it here in the way we use it in our story, in our news writing and so on. Now, you need to tell us when the incident takes place. You know, sometimes there is something called maybe I forgot the exact term. When we are writing stories, why are we writing stories about certain things? Like when you see a news item or a newsworthy stuff, what makes you think that this is important for me to write about? How do you make this decision? What are the tools that helps you look at something and say that this is a story for me? I forgot the term, but there is a term for it. What helps you identify this thing as a news item? Because in Nigeria, every day, every second, there are billions of stories, right? Right? Now, if we count the number of people in this hall, we are about 10 or so. If we count it, that's a story. Nobody knows about the exact number of people in this hall. That's the new information, the story, right? But you don't write news report about it. It's useless. It doesn't serve any purpose. So there are billions of stories every day. But you have to have certain parameters you use to determine whether this is what is your story to write or not. Right? If it is story, a lot of things are happening in Chad, Niger, Cameroon. Why are we not writing about them? A lot of things is happening in the US. A lot of things are happening across the world, but we don't write about them. But they are also news items, right? Now, why are we specifying certain things as our areas of coverage, as our stories to write about, and others, and we don't do the same for other things that are very much happening around us? Now, these things, so sometimes the things are this. One, the proximity of this thing to where you are. Maybe is close to Maiduguri. Maybe it's within Maiduguri. Maybe it is in your neighborhood. And so on. Maybe it is in the borders linking Nigeria to, Chad and so on. That is what makes, otherwise, we are not just reporting, we have been reporting crime in our platforms in this part of the world, but for Boko Haram is not, for instance, the only criminal activity, the only terrorist activity going on in the country. There is, sorry? Oh, go ahead. Boko Haram isn't the only criminal or terrorist activity that is taking place. A lot of things are taking place. A lot, right? There is oil bunkering, there is, piracy on our seas. A lot of things happening. But for those of us who are here, we are only interested in what? Boko Haram. Because the proximity of where it is happening to our locations is very, close, right? Are we together? Now, sometimes not just proximity, is the what? Is the timing. When is it taking place? Right? Now, maybe it is close to the holidays, right? And everyone has his own plans for the holidays, right? And then now government says that that traveling has been banned for everyone, that there isn't going to be intercity travels. And then students have closed from school. Many of them have packed out of the hostel, but then traveling has been banned. Now you report it because this is happening now and it affects a lot of people based on the timing. If it is just any other time, probably people will not have been as affected as they will be when it is what? It is a period for holiday, right? So timing is very important. Now you cannot say breaking news. There was Governor XYZ has sacked XYZ last year. Once it is last year, you don't really have any business telling us breaking news, right? So the timing, the timing is also a very important item that helps us identify whether we should write this report or not. Sometimes the people involved, the person involved is our governor, maybe he's our traditional ruler, and so on and so forth. And because this person is involved, it makes it what? A news item for us. Are we getting along? Now, what is really important, why I'm saying this is because I want to tell you or show you why it is important to tell us when the incident you're writing about takes place. Especially depending on what information you are talking about, what information you are trying to pass. If you are talking about, for instance, the hike in prices of foodstuff, go ahead. Hike in prices of foodstuff, for example, then what is important is that we should know when it is taking effect. If you say that, okay, the price of petrol will be going up, right? Now, if you tell us that, then you have to tell us when it is taking full effect. When it is taking full effect. So that maybe I will still have the chance to go and fill up my car tank. Is that clear? Are we getting the conversation, or is just passing through your ears and then out of the other one? Are we getting along? You are telling us this because in your thought, because you know that you still have time, or people still have time to go and buy whatever they are buying, because before the new order takes full effect. Now that's probably why it is important to tell us whether this is going to take place now or tomorrow. When is the statement even issued? When did this thing you're talking about happen? Is that clear? There are deeper layers as to the timing, or what we need for the time or for the when in a story. I do not want to take us, down to these details, but I just want you to get the general idea. Why is it even important for you to tell us the story? It helps us make decisions. It helps us know the real situation you want us to know. You get the when? Then where? We just spoke about proximity. Where is this thing happening? It is many times not important, if you are just covering the Northeast, to tell us that there is an attack in Israel, or in Palestine, or in Iran, or in Iraq. These things are not, except if your platforms have two duties. One, to inform people in that community about what is happening in the rest of the world. That's something else. But if you are just informing the world about, there are two things here. If you are headquartered in the Northeast, it is either you are informing the people of the Northeast of what is happening outside the region, so that they stay informed, like what is government doing, so that people in the Northeast know what is happening in the country. So you are across the world. You are getting news stories from all over the world, so that your readers who are from the Northeast will get informed. That's one. Two, you are probably informing the rest of the world about the situation of your people in the Northeast. Maybe when this crisis, heightened, the rest of the world doesn't know what is happening, and you think that the people here need support from all over the world. And so if you are putting out this information, the rest of the world will see and know what is happening and then offer their support, right? Yes. Or you are doing both. You are both informing your people locally as well as the rest of the world as to what is happening in your community, right? But if your function is just to tell the world what is happening in your region, that's your function, then you have no business telling us that there is an attack in Iraq. That's not, your readers are not interested in what, they just want to know what is happening in your backyard, right? So proximity is important, and you must be proximity intelligent whenever you are writing a report. How is this location important to me as a journalist covering this field or operating in this environment? Now we're talking about the question of where. Where is this thing taking place? Where is it happening? How is where it's happening important to the kind of stories you are writing? Is that clear? Straightforward? The other two important things are why and how. Many times when you tell people this is what is happening, these are the people involved, this is actually what is happening, this was when it took place, this is where it took place, people now will want to know how. Then how did this happen? How did this happen? You know? And many times that's the most important aspect of journalism people are interested in. Now are you reporting, for instance, God forbid, an accident that has taken place? If you tell people accident here faru aguri kaza kaza wani the wani sky accident rana kaza kaza, if you say all these things, now the next thing people will be interested in, how what led to it, what is the accident, what is the cause for the accident. Never know. The driver was speeding. That's how. He was speeding, and then the other person was crossing the road. That's how. That's what people want to hear. You know, the accident is about, all the two cars are parked. So how will an accident take place? Both two cars are parked. So there is actually no accident, right? So people want to know if there is an accident, then there is a process of how it took place. Something led to it. And people will want to hear. As much as it is a bad news, people will always want to hear the story of how. Always. Is it a brake failure? Is it a car race that went bad? Is it a traffic, mistake? Is it the car that failed, or the tires that failed? What is it that led to the accident? Is it too much speed, and so on and so forth? Is it head-on collision? Is it head-to-head, and so on and so forth? People want to know. You can't just say that an accident has taken place in so place and so place, and then you don't tell people how it's happened. It is a story. At least you have passed important information, but people wouldn't be interested in reading the story. For us, that's what we have been doing. When we started in 2017, that's an important aspect of what we've been doing. We try to go beyond the ordinary bomb blast report and give an explanation of bomb blast, Boko Haram attack, and so we try to offer explanation as to how and why. That's what we focused on when we started like 8 years ago, or 9 rather. Are we together? When we say that there is an attack, we always try to explain how the attack occurred. Did they come on foot or on motorbikes or in, vehicles? Did they wear, mufti or military, camouflage? Did they come in the night? Did they, encircle the town? Or is it an ambush? How did the ambush get, how was it planned? How did it take place? We try to seek this explanation. What we are doing is offering policy makers, whether they are in government or whether they are in military, whether regretted ever teaching him that, but then locally he survived it. But many times the how kind of journalism is different from just passing information. We want to pass intelligence. We want to pass an actionable information that when you get it, you know what action to take. You know what to look out for in the future. Are we together? Now you can only get that out of the how. Yeah, abin ya faru ya aka shirya. Now we did another story last year or last 2 years or 3 years maybe, and my reporters will always come to the office and complain that this phone has been stolen and then this has happened and so on. So I told them to now sit down and collect all the tricks. Listen to the people who have stories of their phones being stolen by pickpockets in bosses, and so on and so forth. You know all these stories. I asked them to go back, ask all these victims how it happened. We thought that it is not about just reporting the rise in the cases of phone theft in Maiduguri. We should go beyond that to tell people what are the tricks these thieves are using to what? To steal from people. So we collected all the things they are doing, even the days. We got to realize that mostly this takes place on Fridays, because, and around 1, just close to, prayer, because many people are in the mosque, many people are in the rush, and so therefore once they steal from you, they escape and nobody sees them again. And sometimes you get to meet a passenger already seated in the tricycle, if it is tricycle, and so on and so forth. We got a lot of their tricks, and the intention was actually to help our readers make sense or be aware, be alert. When they see something like this, they will understand that it is a red flag already. Are we together? Then after the how, then many times another thing people don't pay so much attention to in journalism is why. Why did this happen? Why did Boko Haram attack this community? Why did this action take place? Why did it happen the way it did? Now we realize sometimes that we always keep asking questions from the communities when they say that there is Boko Haram attack in any part of the state. We keep asking everyone we know, why? Is there a reason? Why is Boko Haram going after this community? Is it because the people are collaborating with the terrorists? Or is it because there is an informant in the community? What is there a military post? Why are they after that community? Do they want to establish a base there? Is it a fertile, environment? Is there a source of water? Why? Because we have to imagine those people living in the bushes, where are they getting water to drink? So it is important we know why they are occupying certain communities. Maybe that community is riverine. They can easily dig a borehole to supply water for them while in the bush, or they can fetch directly from the river. But ordinarily, they cannot just occupy any bush if it doesn't provide them with water, if there is no means for them to access the main road. On a lot of these things, we try to understand why. If they attack this community, are they carrying out a revenge? Did the community report them to the military or expose some of them? Or is there someone they want to recruit but who doesn't want to get recruited? Or is there a member of the group who actually left the group to go back to that community? What happened? We keep asking, and many times we get a lot of information. Sometimes they will tell us that, yeah, the members of the community actually are, collaborating with the military to show them the routes Boko Haram are passing with their goods, or when Boko Haram kidnap people, this is the route they take, and so on and so forth. Or this farmland belongs to Boko Haram, and so now the why is really, really very important, because maybe this person is collaborating with Boko Haram, and then because they had a slight misunderstanding, Boko Haram decided to kill the whole community. We thought when we report the why of that attack, people will learn not to collaborate with them again, because slight misunderstanding, they will come after the whole community. Is that clear? There is a car accident, and then you explained how it has happened, but then why? You have to begin to ask yourself, why did it happen? Why? What are the real factors? Maybe the person who had the accident is a young boy who had no training, who had no license to drive a car, so has very little experience to handle a tough situation while driving. So that's why. So parents will now know the implication of allowing a child who doesn't have, important prerequisite knowledge of driving to drive. In fact, these two, how and why, are some of the most important things in journalism. But we don't really pay attention to them, because it requires us to think. Sometimes if someone tells you XYZ has happened, you have to sit down in the office, think what are the likely ways in which this thing will occur. Because you got to be thinking, why would a normal human being want to attack a fellow human being for no reason? You have to think. There must be a reason. There must be something. It cannot be random. If it is random, then that randomness has a reason. Is it a mental problem? Is it an ideological problem? Is it something? Is it drugs? What exactly could be the cause? We like to write reports of a father beating his child to death. Nobody is asking a question as to why will a father want to beat his child to death? What is it? What about the child, or what about the father that is actually wrong? That, a father has every right over a child. You can reprimand him, you can punish him, but what would lead to a father, killing his son or his daughter? All these things, there are explanations, but we are just interested in what has happened, to say that Abu Kazaya, maybe people just want bad news happening to others. Like this man has divorced his wife. People are just interested in the divorce because maybe, you are happy that you now have a new person who is also unmarried, right? That's just your interest. But you don't ask the question as to what will lead to a marriage that is 30 years crumbling down like that overnight. So it is important we ask the questions why and how because that is your most important duty to the society as a journalist. You want to provide people enough intelligence in the way they decide, in the way they plan, in the way they avoid getting into danger. But if you don't do these things, people will repeatedly get into trouble and nobody can help them, because there is actually no body of information. There isn't any collection of information that will help in guiding the conduct of people. A lot of people who fall into scam on the internet are people who are not very well informed. But if we are collecting all the details of how, I'm sure every one of you here has fallen into one internet scam or the other, right? Right? Nobody. Because we only have one of two options. It is either you falling victim of a scam or you yourself scamming some people. So which one? Then you are not on the internet. Eh? But some of you here may have lost their phones to thieves, mind games. Right? One of my aunties told me that the thieves came to her house as NEPA staff, and that they were sent by her husband to switch them from this line to another line. So they asked her, she was confused. They said, okay, please, call him. You know, she called him, and while he's telling them, and then they keep talking. Munzo gida to ba kuma wa to bari ogana din yana waje bari hada ku da shi a waya, and 10 minutes afterward, no phone, no nothing. I regard it. By the time he's back home, already anger operations in Sunten. So you see, if this is published on the newspapers and someone gets to read, immediately someone comes to you with a similar trait, you will detect what he's up to. This time it doesn't have to be NEPA. Ko a plumber, you still have an idea of what's that, you know what he's up to, right? Now the one someone told me recently, and it's very, very interesting. A woman boarded a tricycle, in the night after Maghrib, and then as they are riding, the rider will stop. Sai ce to wallahi ai yanzu machine ina ya samu problem da ba ni wanki in haska abin da sai su je su bude bonnet din ya haska ya zo ya tayar ya maida mata wayan ta stabi suka yi so biyu na uku sai ya ce musu to abin ya kifa su sauka bari ya dan tura mashin in ya tashi su shiga, in ko bai tashi ba zai nema musu wani mashin kawai su karasa. To shi kenan su kuma suka sauka suna jira a tura mashin ya tashi zo su shiga. To haka suna gani ya kunna mashin ya yi tafi da shi. So you see, as people are getting used to their tricks, they are even inventing new ones. But at least if you are alert, if you have general idea of the scamming nature of the people, at least we try to know how do the people even look? How do they look? Do they look innocent? Are they young men? Are they elderly? Are they, looking well dressed? Are they, wearing rough, wretched clothes? All of these things are important, so that when you see someone who is abnormal, you will be very careful. You will be very mindful of what. And then sometimes when you get on the tricycle, you have to understand how much of an attention they are investing in you. Maybe you are speaking on telephone. They listen to your conversations. They know what you are worth. They know you have money, they know the kind of phone you are likely to use and so on. Right? When you say, dama akan titi ma yana magana da waya tukuna ni zai ga mai nafef ne ya tsayar da shi tun kama a ɗauki kan ga irin wayanka. Saboda in wayanka irin waya da bai kai ya kawo ba irin na wannan ne to ko ɗauka ma ba su ba, they will just ignore you and then su wuce za su je gurin da za su samu wani abu mai kwari ko. So these are the kind of things. So in every report you write, we want you to focus more on the why. Think, and that is all to do with thinking. You are reporting a rise in the case of malaria. Maybe you are a health reporter. There are a lot of cases of malaria. You need to interrogate, ask experts. Why are there high cases of malaria now? Is it the season? Is it the environment? Is it our attitude to the environment? What is the cause for this sudden rise in malaria cases? And why is it that people keep treating it, but it is not getting, out of their blood? Are the drugs no longer, effective enough, or have we become resistant to the drugs and so on? All of these things, right? Are we on the same page? Do you understand? Is this some kind of difficult stuff? You can identify in a story when you read what is the who, what is the why, how. You can identify all these things. Alright, I will send you an assignment. I want you to mark out for me in the story everything that has to do with what, who, where, when, how, why. I will send you the group, and then when we meet next, we will build on it. So, any question? Any question? Your name is Lydia.
Yes, sir.
This is a fake hair.
It's not fake, it's artificial. It's money I used to buy.
So you wanted to show us that you are one of the people who is spending our $1 billion annually.
If I have to go, like,
Yeah, but you are blowing it away for us,
Instead of making yourself look good, maybe you need this right now.
Oh, really? Yeah, excellent. That's great. And I can see the glasses too.
I'm wearing the glasses since now, every time we met outside.
Really?
Yes.
When did you ever meet outside?
Yes.
Me and you?
Yeah, and I was sitting there waiting for you guys to come. You passed us and we greeted you.
No. That.
You see, outside
When?
this place, downstairs.
When?
I told you, before we started our internship, when we brought our letter.
But you and what's the name, Sarah? The two of you brought your.
No, it's Sarah and Hannatu that came together.
Where is Hannah?
She went to somewhere else to do her internship.
Okay. I see. I cannot remember really. I can't remember.
So we greeted you and you answered. And we don't even know that you're a staff here. We just greeted because since we don't know the place, we are looking for the people.
You are just being polite for a day.
Yes, I will not come and
But I cannot really remember. I have a very poor memory. So no question today? Everything is clear? So we can build on this from tomorrow, right? Alright, thank you. We continue. We start discussing how we will implement this in these 5 W's in story writing, I will want to teach you the structure of a news writing. I've seen some of you write a few stories and I'm very impressed. I hope you will continue doing that. So see you tomorrow. So you're on discharge.